So now, let's discuss with the reasons for the entry of banks. Or, ayan, so I'm going to read a scenario for everyone. This usually happens, okay, when it comes, especially in our culture. So, for example, a father is lending to his son, okay, enabling his son to repay his bond. Now, halimbawa, nangutang ka sa tatay mo. Okay? Ngayon, kung maa-assume natin na ang bank, okay, halimbawa magpapagawa ka kasi ng bahay. So, iniisip mo kung saan ka hiram ng pera. Okay. Now, iniisip mo, dahil nga masyadong, halimbawa, iniisip mo parang ang laki naman masyado ng rate or interest rate sa bangko. Kasi halimbawa, the bank home loan rate bond is 12%, deposit rate 8%. So, they will probably do the deal at 10%. So, for example, kinumpare mo kasi nga naman mangutang ka sa bangko, mangutang ka na lang sa tatay mo. So, pero syempre, dahil medyo malaki yan, so papatungan niya yan. Pero minimal lang compare kung manghiram ka sa bangko. So, halimbawa, ayan, 12% tapos may deposit rate ka pa na 8%. So, sabi ng tatay mo, o sige, kaysa naman may 12%, 8% ka pa, gawin na lang natin 10%. Okay, nakamura ka na dyan. Okay? Both score on the deal and they cut out the banking sector. Okay, ang tawag dyan, bank disintermediation. Okay, ibig sabihin ng dis, not. Okay, you do not use the bank to intermediate. Okay, so this can happen. Okay, and this really happens provided that, number one, the father should be wealthy. Dapat marami siyang papautang sa'yo. Okay? And the father is fully aware of the credit worthiness of his son. Okay? Alam niya, in due time or makakabayad ka doon sa hiniram mo sa kanya. Okay? Or huhulog-hulugan mo yan. Parang ganon. So, yun. So, kung may tiwala naman sa yung tatay mo na mababayaran mo, may trabaho ka naman, dahil kailangan mo lang talaga ng bahay sa ngayon, papahiramin ka niya. Okay? So there are two critical observation or considerations para masabi natin na yung mga bangko ay really useful intermediaries. Okay, number one is information costs. Okay, again, yung scenario natin kanina, 'di ba? The father should be wealthy para mangyari 'yan, and the father is fully aware of the credit worthiness of his son. Okay, we call that information. Okay? Kasi si daddy or yung father, magdalhan siya ng money sa kanyang anak kasi alam niya, meron siyang information, meron siyang knowledge that his son will repay the loan. Hindi ka naman magpapahiram tapos kung alam mo naman na hindi naman babayaran sa iyo. Tama ba? So, yun. So, ngayon, ang isa sa meron or ang isa sa nagkakaroon ng expense, nag-i-incur ng expense sa mga bangko through sa mga information costs. So banks lend funds to borrowers that are not known to the depositor. Siyempre, kapag nag-save ka sa bangko, hindi mo na alam kung sino ang manghihiram ng pera mo. The same thing, pag nanghiram ka sa bangko, di mo na alam kung kaninong pera yung hinihiram mo. Basta ang alam mo lang sa bangko yon. Okay? So, they incur costs in gathering information on the borrowers. Siyempre, malaki ang gastos pa din ng bangko when it comes to knowing kung credible ka ba, isi-CI pa nila yung bahay mo, especially if you are applying for a car loan, di ba? Titingnan nila yung bahay mo. Are you really capable of doing that? Merong mga costs na mag incur doon. Yung mga tao, yung mga sasakyan na gagamitin para pumunta into a place, yun, lahat yun ay mag incur ng cost for the banks. Okay, ngayon, kung gusto mo naman disintermediation ulit tayo, hindi mo na gagamitin yung bangko para makatipid ka, what will happen is uh, maggagastos ka din or magte-take ka ng risk with the information cost. Okay? Kailangan malaman mo if credible ba or dapat merong credibility itong papahiramin mo. So, yun. So that is one of the critical consideration that we have, especially when we make banks as our intermediaries. Second one is, ayan, so meron pala tayong four types of information costs. Number one is the search cost, verification, monitoring, and enforcement. Search costs are incurred whenever a transaction between two parties is done. Okay. Dito, si borrower will not be concerned by the quality ng lender. Diba? Halimbawa, mangutang sa bangko, di mo naman na titingnan kung mapapautang ka ba nung particular lender na ito. 'Di ba? Ang alam lang natin, nangutang na tayo sa bangko. Pero ang bangko, kinukuha lang yan sa mga depositors. Okay. Pero si lender ay concerned sa quality ni borrower. Siyempre naman, di ba? Parang mababayaran kaya ako nito. Okay, so that is the search costs. Okay, na mai-incur or sinushoulder na ng banko for you. Okay, kaya it makes them useful intermediaries for us. Number two is verification costs. Okay, verify. These are incurred because the bank is obliged to verify the information gathered. So for example, mag-apply ka pa lang, sinilagay mo, halimbawa maglo-loan ka, tapos ang nilagay mo na salary mo is 60,000 per month. Okay, hindi yun basta-basta maniniwala na lang sa iyong bangko. They will verify it. Kung pwedeng tawagan niya yung employer mo or pakitaan mo ng ITR, pakitaan mo ng payslip, statement of account, lahat yon kukunin nyo ng bangko. Okay? Para ma-verify nila if totoo ba yung information na binigay mo sa kanila. Okay? So that is another cost for them. Okay? Next is the monitoring cost. So the word monitor, and these are incurred by the bank because once the money is lent, the bank has an incentive to monitor the client. Siyempre, kapag napahiram mo na yan, di ba, you should be monitoring kung sino yung nanghiram, especially yung borrower. Okay? So, that is why monitoring costs have or nag-i-incur. Okay? For example, yung mga bangko na tumatawag pagka hindi mo na nabayaran yung credit card mo or yung loan mo, yan, cost pa din yun for the banks. Yung mga, kung meron mang collector pa, yung, kasi ang alam ko dati may mga collectors na nakamotor, ayan, so that is another cost na mag-i-incur sa bangko. That is the monitoring costs. Okay, and the enforcement costs. Ito naman are all expenses and costs, including reasonable attorney's fees and expenses. Halimbawa, di ba, nagkademandahan na, hindi na nabayaran talaga, ayan, fees and out-of-pocket expenses of expert witnesses, costs of investigations, incurred by lender as a result of any event of default under the loan agreement. So, halimbawa, hindi na nga nabayaran. So, ang shoulder nito ay ang bangko pa din. Unlike ikaw na ikaw yung nagpautang, kung may enforcement na magaganap dito, so mag-hire ka pa ng sarili mong attorney para ipaglaban na ibayaran sa'yo yung pinautang mo, ganyan. Whereas, kung bank intermediary ka, okay, hinayaan mo na bangko ang pumagitna sa inyo, i-cover na yan lahat ng bangko. Okay, hindi ka na nila sisingilin. Hindi na nila sabihin sa'yo na, pinautang po namin yung pera niyo, tapos di po binayaran. Okay, lahat yon si bangko na yung mag-shoulder. So those are the types of information costs. Again, these are the two critical considerations that make banks useful intermediaries. Number one is the information costs. Second one is the asymmetry in liquidity preference. Okay, lenders and borrowers have different requirements in terms of liquidity. Liquidity, ibig sabihin, available yung perang nilagay mo anytime and anywhere. Okay? Which essentially means term of maturity of the loan deposits. So, asymmetry, ibig sabihin, unequal. Hindi patas. Okay? So, that is the meaning of asymmetry. So, ibig sabihin, iba-iba ang preference ng bawat clients when it comes to the liquidity preference. Borrowers usually borrow for projects that have long lives and consequently long-term repayment schedules. Okay? Kapag nanghiram tayo, minsan, madalas yung mga borrowers, they want long-term. So, babayaran mo yan for 5 years, ganyan 3 years, so mahaba yan. Pero, ang lenders, okay, yung mga tayo na nagde-deposit dyan, we want liquid deposits. Ano yon? We want liquid deposits na available immediately. So, pag kinailangan ko yan, withdraw ko yan agad or in short term. Okay, so now, si bangko ang isa sa consideration or services na binibigay niya they essentially transmute illiquid assets. Yung mga hindi agad-agad dapat nakukuha. Tapos i-liquidize nila yan. Kailangan makuha yan agad. So again, sabi ko nga kanina, si borrower, madalas, mahaba yung panahon nila para magbayad, pero si lender, gusto nila nakukuha agad yung pera nila. Okay, whereas kapag ginawa mo ng sarili yan, hindi ka bank intermediaries, okay, ang mangyayari, di ba, kapag ayaw ng bayaran sa'yo ng borrower mo, wala kang magagawa. Hindi mo makukuha yung pera mo. That is why these are the two critical considerations that we have that make banks useful intermediaries. Number one, information costs, and second one is asymmetry in liquidity preference. Now, let's discuss the broad functions of banks. Okay, number one is they facilitate of the flow of funds. Okay, they provide facilitation of flow of funds. So banks facilitate the flow of funds from surplus economic units to deficit economic units. So yung mga maraming pera, yung may mga sobra, ifa-facilitate nila yung flow ng pera na yan papunta dun sa mga kulang yung resources. Okay? So without sound financial intermediaries, much of the savings ng mga lenders will not be available sa mga borrowers. So syempre kung walang bangko, di natin alam kung saan tayo pwedeng manghiram ng mga mas malalaking pera. Okay? Tapos, hindi rin natin, kung marami naman tayong sobra, hindi naman natin alam kung sino yung mga nangangailangan. So yun. So, they facilitate the flow of funds. Number two is efficient allocation of funds. So banks are keenly aware of asymmetric information, ibig sabihin unequal, iba-iba, which is possible to be given to them. Yet, they ensure that available funds are allocated to borrowers that will utilize the funds prudently, which in turn will lead to an increase in economic activity. So, syempre, yung presence ng asymmetric information or unequal information, yung mga halimbawa, may sa mga nangungutang and mga nagpa-file ng loan, 'di ba? Sinasabi nila, manager sila, ganyan, okay, may trabaho sila, when in fact, wala naman talaga. So, it leads to adverse selection and moral hazard problems. So, yung adverse selection, it means that bad risk borrowers are more likely to want loans than good risk borrowers. So, madalas yung mga um, meron talaga ng mga nangungutang tas ang plano talaga nila hindi magbabayad. Ayan. So, eto yung mga gustong-gusto, pinipili talaga nila na makautang sila sa bangko. Pero hindi naman lahat. Okay? Hindi naman lahat na nagpa-file ng loan sa bangko ayaw magbayad. So, yun. Pero, sine-check yon. Okay? Kini-clarify yon. Kailangan ma-allocate ng maayos yung pondo. Kasi, kapag mas marami ang hindi nakabayad kaysa sa nagbabayad, so, ang possibility niyan, magsarado yung mismo bangko. Ayan, yung moral hazard naman, it purports that once a loan is granted, the borrower may be inclined to take risks with the money that are not disclosed to the bank in the application. So, di ba, may mga information kasi tayo na hindi dinidisclose sa bangko. So, it is better ang bangko, make sure nila na kailangan na-allocate ang funds efficiently. Ayan, and na, na, um, na tama yung information na binibigay sa kanila, especially ng mga borrower. Next, number three is assistance in price discovery. They are actively involved in the pricing of financial services and securities. Ayan, yung mga nasa banks, these are professionals and experts in the financial system. After all, di ba, they also make up a large part ng financial system itself. And therefore, they are keenly involved in price discovery. So, alam nila ang presyohan when it comes to the financial services. Ipansinin nyo yung mga banks. Minsan, meron lang mga differences na 5 pesos sa mga fees nila, pero alam nila, parang meron silang standard na amount that they will charge sa bawat financial transactions and even securities, especially when you're going to buy stocks, ayan, and the bonds and other things. Okay, so that is the third function of banks. The fourth one is the money creation. Ayan, sinabi ko na din to kanina. So, it also known as credit of loan function. Okay, not only are existing funds allocated efficiently, kung tulad kanina, but new money is also allocated efficiently by the banking sector. Diba? Sabi ko nga kanina, si central bank, um, They have the sole authority to print money. Pero nagki-create din ng money si bangko through the checks, ayan, and the loans that they provide. Ibig sabihin, kapag nag-loan ka sa bangko, binigyan ka nilang 100,000, that is already, they already created the money. Okay, and then you're going to pay for that. So, nagkaroon ng bagong money in the circulation. Kaya, kailangan talaga i-regulate ito at i-supervise ng central banks kasi ang mangyayari, syempre, di ba, kapag sobra-sobra naman ang loan, sobra-sobra ang cheque, sobra-sobra yung mga money na na-create ng bangko, ng commercial bank itself, syempre, mag-aapektuhan naman ang ating inflation. So, yun. So, at dugtong-dugtong pa din siya. That is why the central bank, they must regulate and supervise the banking system. For the fifth one, and the main functions or broad function of banks are enhanced liquidity. So banks, syempre, di ba, it is created for a depositor, ayan, with the bank. So if an individual purchases the securities of the ultimate lender, halimbawa, nag-loan ka sa isang bangko, yung liquidity ng pera ng lender is almost zero or low. Kasi um, they will just pay monthly. So yun, so hindi mo agad-agad dapat na makuha yung pera mo na yun. Pero dahil nga ang function ng banks is they are in the business of purchasing less or non-marketable primary securities and offering liquid investments to the ultimate lender. So that is really crucial na task or function ng bangko. They have to enhance the liquidity of the money that they have. Kahit na pinahiram nila yan, na kahit na hindi na nabayaran, kailangan maging liquid pa din yung pera na meron tayo. Hindi nila pwedeng sabihin sa'yo na, ma'am, di pa po kasi nagbabayad yung nangutang sa pera nyo. Hindi sila ganon. Whether they like it or not, kahit hindi magbayad sa kanila, they must give us the money that we deposited to them. So that is the enhanced liquidity. Next is, ayan, price risk lessened for the ultimate lender. Siyempre, di ba, ayan, isa sa advantage or benefit that we can get from the banks is malalessen yung price risk natin. Price risk. Okay. So banks have a diverse portfolio of non-marketable loans, bonds, and share investments that carry price risk, also called market risk, and offer products that have zero price risk such as fixed deposits. So si bangko, kailangan sobrang diverse ang portfolio nito. They can they should offer na bumili ng non-marketable loans. Ayan, they share investments na merong price risk or market risk. And syempre, they should also offer products na merong zero price risk, such as fixed deposit. So, para syempre, mas marami yung mag-invest, mas marami yung mag-save sa bangko na to. So, yun. So, that is the function na pinoprovide sa atin ng bangko. Seventh one is they should have or they provide the payment system. And it provides a mechanism for the making of payments for anything that is purchased, goods, services, and securities, either sa cheque or online banks, ayan, yung mga financial assets natin which are our money, ayan, pwedeng through banknotes and coins, ayan, na ini-issue ng central banks, bank deposits, ayan, instrument of transfers, sila yung magpo-provide ng system niyan. By cheque ba? By credit card, debit card, smart cards, electronic fund transfer, yung mga may online banking. Ayan. So, sila lahat ang nagsusustain yan. We do not pay for that. Although, syempre, yung mga interest na binabayaran natin sa kanila, iyon yung um, pinag-i-invest nila para sa mga ganong facilities. So, that is technically the payment system. So, si Bangko, ang function niya is to provide a payment system for all of us. And last one is monetary policy function. So, banks are both the instruments of money creation. Ayan, di ba sabi ko nga kanina, they do not print the money, but they create money and the mechanism for the implementation of monetary policy. So the monetary authorities are able, through various means, to exert a powerful influence on the interest rates of banks. Ayan. So, sila din malaki din ang kanilang function. Malaki din ang kanilang naitutulong or ang kanilang influence, especially in the interest rates. Ayan. And in turn, ayan, to influence consumption and investments and spending. So yun. So that is the function ng bangko. They implement monetary policies. So we're done with our discussion. We discussed already about banks, the fundamental issues of banking, reasons for the entry of banks, why do we need to have banks as our intermediary, and the broad functions of banks. Okay, so thank you so much for listening. If you learned a lot from this video, I hope that you would be able to share this to your, kung sino yung tingin nyo naman nangangailangan, especially the students na nahihirapan in BFI. And please leave a comment down below and subscribe in our YouTube channel. Thank you so much. See you on the next videos.